Welcome, and thank you for joining me as we continue to explore the tarot. We're looking at the more modern meanings and the esoteric meanings. Today we are looking at the Lover's card. I've modified the AE weight and Builders of the Addendum versions of this card to avoid nudity. Let's start off with Colette Baron Reid's interpretation of this card in the Good Tarot. Now, I really thought she would change the name of this card to Beloved. In her oracle decks, it seems as though she has a card with that title, and is based on this card in the tarot. Instead, she modifies it to just Love, and the card depicts a woman with a lion, which is pretty strange. We'll see a woman and a lion in the Strength card, too. Colette Baron Reid relates this card to oneness instead of relationships. In all of life, she said, there is only the illusion of separation. In fact, we are all reflections of one another. Later, she explains, when I choose to see unity in all things, magic abounds, page 8. Chris-Anne relates this to love and relationships, which is similar to how I've seen it portrayed in most tarot readings. However, the picture on her tarot card is a little odd. Yes, it shows a pair of lovers, but the woman has a bow and arrow on her shoulder like Sagittarius. But this card is associated with Gemini. Chris-Anne lists the slogan for this card as, my heart is open to deeply meaningful relationships, and I expand into this union with loving trust, page 31. Our knockoff Rider-Waite tarot set describes lovers as attraction, love, beauty, and trials overcome. Now, what is very interesting is that A.E. Waite describes this in a very different way. He summarizes his perception of this card by saying, the card is therefore in its way concerning the great mystery of womanhood, page 46. He also says the suggestion in respect of the woman is that she signified that attraction towards the sensitive life, which carries within it the idea of the fall of man, but she is rather the working of a secret law of providence than a will of conscious temptress. It is through her imputed lapse that man shall rise ultimately, and only by her can he complete himself, page 46. In other words, it was the five senses that fuel our subconscious that led to the fall of man, but it is through mastering the subconscious that we redeem ourselves. There is nothing in Waite's description of this card that suggests that it depicts love or relationship. Instead, he explains that the tree behind the woman is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree behind the man is the tree of life. He explains that this is a depiction of Eden. Now, Paul Foster Case explains that the card represents the union of opposites and marriage. Let's get into the details of symbolic meanings according to Paul Foster Case. The sun at the top of the card has the same meaning as the sun in the full card, except the sun is yellow. The difference is that this is the sun from which we draw consciousness. Case goes on to say that the sun is a being. The angel, according to Case, is Raphael, and goes on to say that he's the angel of air, and Mercury is the planet associated with him. This is important because in alchemy, Mercury is associated with the element Mercury, and represents spirit. We know, since one of the alchemy books that I work with, that Paul Foster Case knew of this association. Case goes on to explain that the angel is life breath, prana, super consciousness. Radiating from the angel's hand is an influence that infects the man and woman. The mountain in the background represents, Case explains, what alchemists call the great work, page 87. Also, the mountain represents a pregnancy. Case identifies the man on the right as Adam from the Bible. He points out that there were 12 fiery fruits on the tree behind Adam. Case explains that these are the 12 signs of the zodiac, and that they have 3 flames because astrologers divide the sides into 3 sections. He goes on to identify the woman as Eve. He explains that behind her is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, just as Waite said. He points out there are 5 fruits on the tree representing the 5 senses. Also important is that the woman looks to the angel, and the man is looking to the woman. Case explains that the conscious waking mind does not directly become aware of superconsciousness. Instead, he explains it is through careful observation of the nature of the activities of subconsciousness, page 88. The woman, Eve, then represents the subconscious. The man, Adam, represents the analytical consciousness. Case goes on to explain that personal happiness, health, and success depends on the union of these 2 aspects, page 89. The reason the 2 figures are naked is because the relationship between the subconscious and analytical consciousness should be, according to Case, an intimate, loving relationship. The 2 aspects of our mind should not hide anything from each other. To do this, Case explains, we must have clear, unmixed desires. The snake on the tree, according to Case, represents sensation, yet while symbolizing the fall from innocence, it also represents wisdom and redemption, because Case says, they result from the right adaptation of the very forces which, at first, tempt us into making mistaken action. Therefore, this card actually depicts that the right relationship of the 3 modes of consciousness. The analytical mind should look to the subconscious for the connection to the divine, and the subconscious is always connected to the divine. So while we can look at this card as merely representing love, whether that is unity consciousness or marriage, In the esoteric tradition, it represents the union of the subconscious and analytical conscious mind. In other words, it represents a state of mind and the way the three modes of consciousness works. This is one of my favorite tarot cards because it has such a basic common interpretation, but the esoteric meaning is truly beautiful, displaying a stage of personal development. This card isn't really about relationships in the outer world, but the relationship within, and the union of two aspects of ourselves that are normally either unaware or at war with one another. The common person is usually driven by their subconscious need to satiate their senses, never knowing what drives them. The aware person consciously works with the subconscious. Their desires are clearly recognized and known to the conscious mind, so the two work in harmony to create their paradigm. Well, that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this exploration of the Lover's card and tarot. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. I cover one tarot card a month, although I may change things up and cover them live a bit more often. If you'd like to see me cover these live, let me know in the comments. Bye for now.